Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you're well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more Reddit stories, and if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting the like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too, and let's crack on with today's first story. Much love guys. Now today's first story comes from Pretty Strength 163 and it's titled, Am I Overreacting for Not Wanting My Husband's Best Friend Near After What I Found Out? I feel like I'm going crazy and I need a fresh perspective before taking the next step. I discovered that my husband, male 37, and his best friend, female 36, had a sexual relationship that lasted throughout high school years and multiple relationships. Apparently, it was a known secret in their circle of friends. Let me start from the beginning. I met my husband during the last year of college. He comes from a very small town that had the same group of friends since elementary school. I used to find it endearing, and now I feel sick. His best friend, female 36, used to be his desk mate in kindergarten. He used to talk about her a lot before I met her, mostly fun anecdotes and childhood memories. Honestly, I was a bit jealous at the beginning. He had all these memories and shared friends with her. He even had a special nickname for her, Pokey. I let go of my worries when I met her. Pokey was not like the horrible female best friend in the movies. She was always supportive and sweet. She's a cake designer and she gifted us our wedding cake and made a beautiful speech. Still, there was part of me that always felt a bit uneasy. Me and my husband never really talked about past relationships, mostly because I didn't want to focus on the past. But in general, from what he let slip, he was a bit of an a-hole as a teenager. In particular, his friends sometimes talk about how it's incredible their group survived the summer of madness. I always assumed that some kind of high school drama happened, and that was it until I discovered what it was about. I was out with one of my husband's friends' wives, Gertrude. Gertrude told me something about how she admired me for being so secure in my marriage, even with the one that got away in the picture. I was confused. I told her that I didn't understand what she was talking about, and then she told me, "Oh, I thought you knew about Pokey and Maurice, my husband." I think I died a little hearing that. She proceeded to tell me how they basically fucked through high school years, how Pokey was my husband's first everything, and how they cheated every single boyfriend and girlfriend they had during that period with the other. The famous Summer of Madness was the last summer of high school. Apparently the whole group was fighting because some were done with their behavior, while others kept covering for them. What's worse is that it all ended because Pokey put a stop to it. She chose a college kilometers away from their hometown and stopped talking to my husband for a whole year. After the revelation, I confronted Pokey. I shouldn't have, but I was so angry and humiliated. I don't want her near me or my husband. I keep thinking about how they shared everything, and not even our intimacy is truly ours. It drives me insane. She obviously told my husband that we've been fighting since then. He's telling me over and over that there's nothing between him and Pokey. In his opinion, I'm overreacting to something that happened almost 20 years ago and has been closed and dead. But I feel like I can never trust the two of them together. Am I wrong? Someone asked about what happened when you confronted Pokey and whose idea was the wedding speech. Opie said she was surprised but calm, which made me even more mad. She told me that she thought my husband had told me about it and it was not her place to talk about it. Then she told me to talk to my husband, but that unless he told her to stay low contact, she would not do anything. She was his best man. So yeah. Someone said, how long into the relationship did you meet Pokey, and was that a sexual nickname? Opie says no, it's something from their childhood. Just Maurice and her father call her that. I met her after a couple of months with the other friends. Someone says, did Maurice and Pokey date? Opie says they never dated, according to Gertrude. But also my husband, the whole situation was pretty toxic. All I hear from him are excuses, some are even valid, but I feel like it just makes the situation worse. He calls me honey most of the times. I used to think the whole Pokey thing was cute and wholesome. Now I feel a bit foolish. Someone asks, how did the husband react to Opie's request to cut contact / go low contact with Pokey? Opie says the thing is, their group of friends are very, very close. I was not used to that. Pokey works at a bakery and everyone, Maurice too, goes there for breakfast and lunch break. They have game nights and movie nights and brunches and dinners, so they see each other a lot. Pokey lives down the road and she and Maurice take the dogs out every evening. Maurice told me to not make him choose, that he barely remembers a time when he didn't have her in his life, that it should not come to this. OP on Pokey's background, like was she married? Did Pokey's ex know about her past? Does OP have kids with her husband? OP says she was. She and her ex divorced a couple of years ago. She wanted children, he didn't, and it wasn't pretty. Apparently her ex knew. She's not dating at the moment, but she dated a guy briefly in the past. No, me and Maurice are child-free. And OP adds another comment saying, okay, so a lot of people are asking why I got angry at Pokey and not my husband. First, I am angry at Maurice. I can barely stand in the same room. Second, I feel childish, but I was/am jealous of her. I didn't grow up like Maurice. I barely remember the people I went to middle school with. To me, friends are something different. He had this girl that knew every single thing about him, that shared adventures and Christmases and birthdays, family and friends. It was a lot. I knew she was important to him, so I tried my best. I thought that at least I had his love first. Turns out, she had that too. I was mad. Was it right? No, but in the moment, she was the focus of my rage. And no, it drives me insane. Why can't he say he was in love with her? It's plain she was his first love, but no, I don't get it and I'm delusional. They were kids and confused, etc. And adds, F that. What's confusing about ditching your friends and your girlfriend for a summer in order to bang your best friend? Gertrude told me about the castle of lies he spun around that poor girl. I feel sick thinking about it. Nah, if I'm being totally honest, if I found out your partner, your husband/wife had a whole secret sexual past with their best friend who's still constantly in their life, that'd play havoc with my mind as well, if I'm being totally honest. And the fact that everyone around OP knew as well makes it even that more brutal in my opinion. There's nothing quite like finding out that your husband's special nickname friend used to be his secret hookup partner. But OP came in with her first update and said, hi guys, first of all, thanks all for the responses, the messages and the support I got. Currently I feel like I don't really have friends I can trust, but at least I have some validation from you. There's a link to the previous post if you need it. So I have a small update and things don't look good. I had a pretty big fight with my husband last night. He went to the usual Friday game night. Some of you asked me about that. He and his friends had two types of game nights. One is normally on Friday, as most of them don't work during the weekend. It's a group thing and they played some kind of D&D. Usually it's hosted by Andrew, male 37, who is the master of the campaign. Then there are sporadic game nights in which some of them play video games and chat. In that case, the numbers of people are variable. As I said, last night Maurice went to play D&D. I asked if Pokey would be there. He was annoyed and told me yes. I asked if he had seen her these days. He told me that he went to get coffee with some of the guys and that Thursday he went to grab lunch. I was pissed, so I raised my voice and asked, why can't you stay away from her, at least for now? He told me, and I quote, I can, but I'm not going to cater to your tantrum. I didn't do anything, so I'm not going to act like I'm guilty of something. I reiterated that I don't want her in our life now that I know, and he asked me, what do I want him to do? It's a small town and we are neighbors. All of my friends are her friends. Unless we move, we're going to have contacts. So I told him that maybe we should move. Maybe we should start over in a place where I can trust people. He told me I'm insane. That he's not going to sell his grandma's house that he loves and move somewhere away from his family and friends just because I feel insecure and to grow the fuck up. I stormed in our room and he went to his friends. When he came back, he started gaming on the PS instead of coming to bed. I could hear him talk, so I went to the living room. I asked him who he was playing with. I kid you not, he was playing COD and chatting with Pokey and Andrew. He was with her just a couple of hours before. I asked him to come to bed. He told me that he had to finish the game and that he needed to vent frustration. I'm not proud of me, but I raised my voice again and said something like, can you even breathe without seeing her for 10 minutes? He didn't even look at me. He just told me, if you're going to make a scene, tell me now so I can turn off the mic. I slept in the guest room. This morning, Joachim, I went for the easiest pronunciation, there were several on there, I do apologize. The friend that works in my office came and talked to me. Apparently Maurice has told them everything Friday. He was venting. He told me that Gertrude thrives in drama and that's why she opened that can of worms. He assured me that there's nothing between Pokey and Maurice, and that the situation will become an issue just if I make it one. I asked him what he meant and he told me, you married him, you know how he is. Maurice is like emotionally dependent on Pokey or whatever. If she killed someone, he would dig a hole and help her hide the body. If you want this marriage to work, just learn to coexist. I asked him if he thinks Marie still loves Pokey. He told me that maybe I should ask my husband because he doesn't know. At this point, I just can't let this go. I feel like a crazy paranoid woman, but I just can't let this go. I asked Gertrude out for lunch Wednesday. I begged her to tell me everything she knows because I need to know. Still, I'm scared of what I'll learn. And we do have another update to this in a moment. That bloody friend's a lot of use, and he's about as useful as a chocolate fire guard. Comes up to you and says, he was just venting and you just need to learn to coexist with Pokey. But when questioned, won't confirm or deny if he loves her. That's wild. Some of the commenters on that one says, unfortunately your husband made his choice and he chose Pokey. So now you need to make yours. It's a shame that he did this to you. He's a piece of shit and you deserve better and you will find better. Commenter 2 says, it sounds, when push comes to shove, Pokey is the relationship he values. Has he done anything to make you feel secure in this marriage, or is it just stop overreacting and having tantrums? Can you go visit friends and family out of town for a bit? Maybe some space will give you and him some perspective. He can realize what he has truly given up for a woman who rejected him years ago. Commenter says, I'm really sorry, but it's time to leave. He can stay away from her, but he won't cater to your tantrum. That right there is the nail in the coffin of your relationship. He doesn't care about your feelings. There is no way to sugarcoat that. You are not insane, but you need to get away from him. At best, this man is a liar, and at worst, a manipulative prick. And probably worse. I have no idea what the relationship with this woman is, but whatever it is, it matters more than your marriage. Time to cut and run. You're never going to be the first. He really is a piece of shit. Edit to say it doesn't matter, Gertrude tells you. Your husband has already told you all you need to know. You don't matter. Another commenter says, he doesn't respect you. Why would you want to exist in this relationship unless you want to be polyamorous? Your husband is absolutely in a relationship with this other woman. Just tell him you're done and want a divorce, that you can't live feeling like a mistress in your own marriage. I don't like ultimatums, but you've tried and tried to get him to see your side, and he won't. So leave. So OP comes in with their next update, which says, hello guys. First of all, thank you for the messages and the chat a lot of you sent me. Thank you for checking on me. I'm sorry I didn't reply and also for updating so late, but I needed time to think and sort myself. For those of you who are new, there's a link to my previous post if you're interested. Some of you pointed out how I was spiraling and acting kinda crazy. You were right, I was. It was hard to admit that I was doing so much damage as Maurice in the situation, and it was even harder to realize that maybe our marriage has a lot more issues than I thought. I'll start by saying that I never went to that lunch. After our fight that Friday night, my husband spent Saturday at his mother's house. She lives like 30 minutes from us with her new husband. He stayed there the whole day, and I discovered his story on Instagram that he took his 2 step-siblings to a laser game and then to dinner. He also took them to Pokey's bakery for dessert. I was livid but resigned at this point. He'd clearly said that he didn't care for my discomfort, so it's not like I was expecting much. I ignored him when he came back later that evening. I just didn't want to fight again. He came to me and told me that we should talk. When I didn't say anything, he told me that he was sorry for being an arsehole the day before, that he started to sound like his father and he hated it, and that was the last thing he wanted for our marriage to be like the one his parents had. I told him that he dismissed my feelings and that by still going to Pokey, he kept doing it and that I felt completely disrespected. I tried to explain as calmly as I could how hurt I was to know that A, about their past by someone else, B, that everyone around me knew and never told me anything up until now. I explained that I felt like a stranger because our friends suddenly reminded me that they were his friends with their behavior, and that I felt like I can't trust anyone around me because no one told me the truth. Then I asked him point blank if he still loves Pokey and why he kept everything a secret. And that's when he told me the truth. And oh boy, I was not ready. Maurice basically confessed that he had loved Pokey like crazy. Let's elope, even if we're 16 and stupid level of crazy. But his parents were divorcing during that time and it was incredibly ugly and violent. And so his teenager mind decided that love was dangerous. And by having a relationship, you lose the people you love. Ergo, never have a relationship with someone important to you. In his case, Pokey. He admitted that it was stupid, but I was not exactly the smartest kid. He couldn't stay away, but he also couldn't bear to lose her if an eventual relationship would implode, so they stayed in this limbo until the summer of madness. Pokey was already pretty tired of the situation, but then she discovered that she was pregnant. It was Maurice's, because at the time she was single, and as stupid teenagers they were using protections. I was already shocked as it was, but to hear my child-free husband say that he had wanted that baby the moment Pokey showed up in his room with a drugstore test left me speechless. So I asked what happened, and he told me that 2 weeks after finding out she lost the baby, they were trying to come up with a way to talk to their families in his room when it happened. She got appendicitis, and somehow it got her tubes inflamed and caused her pregnancy loss. He told me that his worst memory is calling Pokey's mum and his mum from the hospital while hearing Pokey's cries from behind the door of her room. Maurice also told me that was pretty much the moment he became child-free. He told me I never want to hear someone I love cry like that ever again. Also, because of the pregnancy loss, it had become impossible for Pokey to have children without planning and medical help. That's why her divorce was so brutal. Most of their friends don't know. They still think she just got appendicitis. Maurice told me that after what happened, she ran off to uni, avoiding him and pretty much the whole town for a year. He told me how confused and lonely he felt and how much he missed her. Not the girl he loved, but his best friend. The one who knew me better than myself and the one I could always count on. So when she reached out to Maurice, Grandma died. He pretty much promised her that he had never put themselves in a situation like that again, that they'd be just friends and nothing more. And that's what they have been. He told me that he always loved her, but that whatever they had is done, and he's married me and loves me, and that's what should matter. When I asked him if he was willing to see Pokey less and have a different kind of friendship for my sake, he told me that while he loves me, he values his friend enough to not cut them off. He told me that after 13 years together, I should know this about him. So I told him that after 13 years, I should matter enough. I packed a bag and told him I was going to visit my parents because I needed time. And that's where we are. I took some time from work and I'm still at my parents'. It was a lot and I still didn't know how to feel. I'm mostly empty. The top commenter said to this one, if you're gonna stay with him, you have to accept that you'll always come second. He told you that and showed you that every time he went to her. Listen to what he says. If nothing else, at least he's honest. Another commenter says his whole outlook on life revolves around his deep love for Pokey and everything they experienced together. Good for you for standing your ground and walking away for the time to reflect. I wouldn't know how to move forward from here. I'd probably wish him and Pokey the best and walk away for good, but fuck, it would be devastating at the same time. Staying would too. I wish happiness and peace for you. You deserve better. Another commenter says you asked him to change the dynamics of his friendship with Pokey, and he said no. Just divorce him at this point and gain some peace of mind. You'll always be pitting this friendship against your marriage. If you had known the extent of their relationship beforehand, then you wouldn't have married him. Now that you know the truth, make a clean break and find someone that loves you first and foremost. It sounds like your husband and Pokey need to go to counseling together to work on past trauma. They would probably have a future together. Another commenter says, this man is literally choosing to put his high school sweetheart on a pedestal. He's willing to lose his lover, wife, marriage over a high school friendship/relationship he holds on a pedestal. I couldn't stand this marriage. He never intended for you to know any of this information, which is shady as fuck. I'd bet a large sum that if you divorce, him and Pokey would rekindle things. The absolute trickle truthing in this is wild. You know, it came into the story and it started off as like, you know, almost like a teenage fling kind of thing. And OP's overreacting, but more and more information came out as we went along. Like, oh, we hooked up in high school and suddenly now she's pregnant with his baby and there's trauma involved and that's why OP's child free. And every time a new piece of information was revealed, it was another reason to justify why he can't change his relationship with Pokey rather than trying to help understand his wife in this. I totally agree with the comments, you know, that I feel that you're always going to be second best in this relationship. And quite frankly, do you want that for yourself? 13 years. And you've only just discovered the truth about all of this now. And even up to this point now, Maurice is, you know, still dismissing her feelings, still refusing to compromise in any meaningful way, or at all really, and just expecting OP to deal with being second best. Which, you know, it's just shit, isn't it really? But what do you guys make of this situation How would you deal with it if it was you? Maybe you got a different opinion on the matter completely. Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Now, just a huge thank you for being here today, getting involved in the stories, your love, your support, your time. It always means the absolute world to me. So thank you so much for being involved. And hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Take care and much love.